Welcome everybody to another episode of Garage Talk Sports. I'm Mills.
I'm Bobby.
And I'm Nick.
And we are back again in the garage with another episode for you guys. We're going to shake things up a little bit. We're breaking off Nick's picks and turning it into its own separate segment, like recording, just to try and make things a little more seamless.
And just preview.
Yeah. We're trying to mix it up a little bit, so bear with us. So, no Nick's picks coming from this recording that you're listening to right now, but we will be uploading, and it should be uploaded by the time this one gets uploaded, the Nick's picks segment. So just bear with us on that one, guys. Don't get confused when you don't hear us talking about it. But as always, we start off with our hot spots, preview some things to talk about, and then we're going to go into a little bit of college football on this episode. But with it being NFL season, as you guys already know, the bulk of the show is going to be NFL focused. That's just kind of how we do things. Is what it is, right? So we'll kick off with the hot spots. I'll go ahead. I'll lead off on this one. So, rumor is that Tony La Russa for the White Sox is not going to be returning in 2023. And to that, I say amen. God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Bless up. Glad to have him gone. Hope his health and everything is okay. But please do not ever step foot into the White Sox clubhouse again. Good riddance. Go get your DUI somewhere else, please. All in all, just a catastrophe of a hire. Pretty much proved the majority of the people in Chicago right when they were not fans of the decision. So, kudos to you for making all of the, what do they call them? Armchair GMs and stuff, right? When they call people like, oh, you don't, like, that's their insult or to people who try to act like they should be a GM, thanks for proving all of us idiots right, Tony La Russa. I know you're very harsh on the fans and the people who criticize your decision making. But thank you for proving us right that you were not a good hire. The White Sox may have sucked this year, but at least I got to be right about you being an absolute trash-ass manager for the White Sox. So good riddance. Good luck to whatever you do in the future. Just don't ever show up at a White Sox game, please.
Now, who do you hate worse? Cliff Kingsbury or Tony La Russa?
Tony La Russa, because he impacts a team.
Yeah, Tony La Russa impacts a team that I really like, so definitely him more. But I will acknowledge, they both are. At least La Russa has the resume prior to this hire with the White Sox to back up. Like, he's a legitimate, proven guy. He's in the Hall of Fame, so obviously he knows baseball. Cliff Kingsbury's claim to fame is that he coached Pat Mahomes for 3 years in college, but never had a winning record at Texas Tech. Also, pretty much sucks as a coach. He'll be fired at the end of this year. I'm calling it.
That's your hot take?
Yeah. I got so many hot takes.
Yeah, we got a lot.
Cliff King, I actually believe that this year, I think the Cardinals might actually end up firing both Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim.
I think so.
Because they look like crap. Cliff Kingsbury was a terrible hire from day one. I called it. I want the record. I guess I can't say I called it until he's fired. Yeah. But I expect him to get fired because they do not look good.
Yeah,
offense looks terrible, and like I said last year, the Cardinals will only go as far as the physical talent on the field can carry them, and they're going to win in spite of Cliff Kingsbury and his boneheaded coaching. So, man, I'm bringing the heat right now.
Yeah, you really are.
I'm living up to the hot spots here, but I expect
are.
Cliff Kingsbury to be fired at the end of the year for the Cardinals, as is Steve Keim. But I hate Tony La Russa more, or dislike him more. I don't want to say hate; that's hurtful.
That is hurtful.
But I dislike him a lot more because of what he did to the White Sox. White Sox should have been contending. Cardinals really had no indication that they should be contending because, 8-8, and then the collapse they had last year, you don't actually know how good they are.
Yeah, that's true.
And D-Hop's not there.
So and D-Hop's not there. Plus, new Call of Duty's coming out. Lots of updates. The beta's out, so Kyler Murray, although he did have a really good Week 2 performance. Yeah. Whatever, man. They both are scrubs. Both shouldn't be coaching. But, at least I don't have to watch Tony La Russa sleep on the bench next season. Curious to see what the White Sox do, but that's something we'll cover more when MLB offseason's more in swing. Yeah. We don't even have the playoffs starting yet. Oh, also, White Sox officially eliminated from the Central Division, which essentially eliminates them from the playoffs because they're on a 7-game losing streak, which leaves them 6 games left.
They have to lose 2 more, the Mariners have to win 2 more.
Okay, so they're
over.
They're done. They're done. They're done. Good riddance, Tony La Russa.
Well, hop right next to me. Where the Cubs are?
No, I still think the White Sox will, if they make the right manager hire, I think they can be back to being what they were last year.
Hire better trainers.
Yeah, like the White Sox. The difference between the White Sox and the Cubs is the White Sox have like more like actual talent at the playing for them. They just had, I think La Russa is a perfect example of how important like the locker room culture is to a team's success. Because the team didn't play with any energy or anything. They matched the energy of their leadership, and that's why they sucked.
Yeah.
Because Tony La Russa sleeps on the bench and pretty much like doesn't want you having fun playing baseball, and he doesn't want you to show your personality. Well, the White Sox are built around having personality. Also, their hitting coach sucks. Frank, however you say, Messiano. Or
What are they? What were they ranked? Like 30?
They're terrible. They're like top.
They're not.
They're top 10 in batting average, but they only get singles.
Sure.
They play small ball, but they don't have the speed to play small ball. So it's like
It's because they tear their hamstrings.
They shouldn't run hard. It's such a joke. They need to overhaul a lot of stuff. Whatever. That's something we'll cover a lot more in the off season. I don't want to go baseball heavy here. I've already talked more about it than I wanted to on the hot spot. And Nick's got baseball coming up here as well.
Yeah, Sir Albert. It's 700. I think on Thursday last week.
Yes, the machine.
He had 699 and 700 in the same game.
In the same game. It was
Wow.
very impressive.
So impressive for the fact that halfway through the season, I thought there was no chance he was making 700.
He went on a tear.
Yeah.
Starting in August, man.
Once he came back to the Cardinals, he realized. I think he realized that he didn't care if he was good or not. He was like, I'm just going to.
Everyone knew. The goal was 700 for the year. I expected him to play more than you may have. Like, if he wasn't anywhere close to 700 when he signed, he probably is like super heavy platooned. But because of how close he got, like, oh shit, now we have to get him at bats. Like, we're not going to be the guys who don't let him get his chances. You know, very impressive.
So what? That would make him fourth
ever to do it.
Yeah.
Asterisk next to one of those next to one of those four. Do you know which one it is?
Barry Bonds?
Yes. Asterisk goes next to him. Whatever.
He's 14 behind Babe Ruth right now because I don't think he's hit one. He's at 700 still.
Yeah, he hasn't hit one since. If he never hits another one, he's fine.
Yeah.
He's reached 700. He's one of four to do it. Baseball's been around since the 1800s. Like, it's an incredible feat. Did you see the thing back in? It was going around MLB. But back in like April, some analyst on the MLB network called that he was going to hit number 700 in the game that happened.
Really?
Yeah, he said it was going to be. He's like, it's going to be one of those the September game in LA. He's going to hit number 700, and everyone's like, no chance, because no one thought he had a chance.
Yeah.
And sure as shoot, he did it. So he had 699 and 700. So he really went and got it. You know, that's. Yeah. I remember seeing it on my phone, like 699. I'm like, dope. And then like a half hour later, I see 700. I'm like, is this an error? Like, what? But 2 home run performance. Congratulations to Albert Pujols, the machine. I forget what his. I'm not going to try and say his nickname in the Spanish version of it because I don't speak Spanish. But
I didn't know there was one.
It's the machine, but in Spanish. And I don't want to sound like an idiot, so I know it's lost something. Bobby, you took Spanish in high school.
I took 4 years. Yeah.
How do you say machine in Spanish?
Machina?
Is that? I feel like it sounds right. It could be. Whatever. Bobby, give us your congrats, Albert. Bobby, hit us with your hot spot.
All right. I want to go game of the year right here. Wake Forest, Clemson.
Game of the year?
Game of the year. I'm calling it. That was amazing.
Wow.
It went to double overtime. All right. And Clemson barely pulled out with it. All right. Clemson wins 51 to 45.
That was close. It's a Q, not a. Sorry. Go ahead.
You were very close. But I want to shout out Wake Forest. Sam Hartman having a great year. He threw 6 touchdown passes in that game alone.
And lost.
And really, the defense lost in that game.
I was going to say, DJ looked very good, though.
Yeah, so. DJ did actually look
better look good against Wake Forest.
Yeah. Like that guy. I think that's very tough and fun.
Yeah, they are. And it doesn't make any sense. So the rankings, Clemson barely beats Wake Forest, who is ranked 21, and stays at 5, right?
Yes.
And 21 ranked Wake Forest drops down to 22. What sense does that make? What sense does that make?
Because they lost.
Yeah,
they lost.
They literally had a shootout and almost beat the top 5 schools.
They both should have dropped, in my opinion.
Exactly. Like
I still think Clemson's ranked too high, but you know what? As we continue to talk college football rankings, which we might as well just roll into that. I begin to agree more and more with Nick every time. Like, rankings in the first month are stupid.
They really
Like
are.
they're really stupid.
Well, because you have no idea what to base. Like
You base it off of their name. The legacy of the
Like,
school
yeah,
is
so
what
if
gets
we're-
you your ranking.
like Ohio State beat Notre Dame, but Notre Dame looks like they suck. They might not even be ranked in the top 20. So does that mean Ohio State doesn't get credit for that?
It's a top 10 win.
But technically, they should be first over Georgia and Alabama because they play the best team so far.
Yeah, it's all a joke. Like
And then-
I agree with you, Nick. The rankings.
Like my whole thing too
Pointless.
is it doesn't make sense to me how it factors in anything. Like Alabama almost lost to Texas.
Yep.
When they were unranked, but then Texas became ranked. That doesn't make Alabama better because they still almost lost to an unranked team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's like they go, well, now that they're ranked, it's actually it's an impressive win.
Yeah, even though it was one.
Shut the
point
hell
and
up. Like,
their
what?
star quarterback got hurt on like the
Yeah.
second play of the game.
Yeah, are you kidding me? Like they squeaked past a backup quarterback
Exactly.
against an unranked team. It's the rankings, you know.
Rankings suck for anyone who's not a proven 25 team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if you're good last year, you're gonna like Pitt. Pitt to me shouldn't be ranked. There still are, but
Yeah,
but they're in there. And then
No, I'll talk about that in a second.
And then there's other teams that are doing really well this year that like you probably should make them ranked, but since they haven't been good in the past 3 or 4 years,
I'll talk about that too.
they're just not there. So it's like where
No, the
are you-
rankings are a total joke.
just base it on strength of schedule, how good your offense is, and then what teams you've played. Like
Yeah.
if you're the best, if Georgia's the best team, but their strength of schedule right now is 40th, but they're still undefeated. Okay, they still haven't played anyone good, but they're still number one. That makes sense.
And now, like, look at this. If Wake Forest goes undefeated and their only loss is to Clemson, they won't even touch the top 5.
They might if they go undefeated.
Well,
Well, actually, they probably wouldn't because of what Wake Forest isn't a Power 5 conference, so you know they would get that benefit of the doubt just because of their conference. But I don't think after how Cincinnati looked against Alabama last year in the playoff, I don't think we're going to see smaller programs get that shot.
yeah.
No.
Honestly, Cincinnati got the chance that UCF never got, and I still think UCF should have been in the playoff that year they went undefeated.
Yeah.
Whatever, would they have gotten blown out? Maybe. I don't think they would have because they gave it to a really good Auburn team that like was hanging around the top 10 the entire season. But you know that's in the past. Whatever. Cincinnati got the chance that UCF didn't get, and Cincinnati didn't look like they belonged to they should have been there.
Yeah.
So
I will say they held up better than Michigan did to Georgia.
oh yeah, Michigan, but Michigan's got the legacy to
Yeah,
the
exactly.
history to back up.
And I mean, they still beat they beat Ohio State. Ohio State.
Yeah,
went
that's
by
true.
top
They did
Yeah.
beat Ohio State, so
the problem that
they had
is-
the marquee win that
Yeah.
gave them their spot there. Just like Cincinnati's win over Notre Dame, that was their biggest win of the year was against Notre Dame last year, and that's pretty much the win on their resume that put them in.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's hard to justify it.
Well,
But
I
Notre
just
Dame
like
looked good last year.
I like the rankings now, and like so go top 5 is Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State's 3, Michigan's 4, and Clemson's 5, is what we talked about earlier. To me, right now, it's still an only impressive win that you should get a college football playoff chance, being like an Appalachian State or a Wake Forest if you beat Clemson or Georgia or Alabama.
Yeah.
If you beat Ohio State's close, but still not. Like if you beat Michigan, I'm not saying that you're going to have a good chance to beat
No,
Georgia
Michigan.
or Alabama.
In my opinion, Michigan and Clemson shouldn't be in the top 5. But well, you know, whatever. I'm not on part of the Associated Press, so I don't get to vote on
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
But those are your 2 weakest teams in the top 5, and I agree with you, Nick. If your big marquee win is against Michigan, right? So let's use that. Let's say Michigan is the equivalent of the Notre Dame win for Cincinnati last year.
Yeah.
Like I said, Cincinnati beating Notre Dame, that was like the big win that made the argument like they can beat good programs.
Yeah.
But like Notre Dame is a shell of what it was as a football program years ago.
Yeah.
Like they're a respectable program, but they're not the Notre Dame that was like what everyone associates Notre Dame with. Just
Yeah.
like Michigan is not what we associate the old Michigan to be.
Yeah.
Like they're not. At some point, it's going to happen with Michigan. I truly believe they're going to reach a point where they get exposed on the national level. I think when they face Ohio State, I'm expecting Ohio State to win that game and win it by a lot. You know, I know Michigan beat them last year, but they had, you know, it was a really nasty cold day.
Yeah.
And not ideal to the play style of Ohio State. But whatever, you have to play in the weather. I'm not going to try and use it as like an excuse, like, oh, Michigan didn't deserve to win the game. They played better. They deserved to win the game. But then, then they go and face Georgia, and you're like, oh, maybe the Ohio State win was a fluky win.
Yeah.
And that's my point, is like, fluky wins happen, and because of how much focus we put on the rankings, like, you beat a top 5 team, great, like, that's more power to you, but like, it doesn't make you deserving of being in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And that's something that's so like messy about the rankings, and that's something that will hopefully get cleaned up when they expand it in 2025 or something.
By 2026 guaranteed, but they could do it as soon as
2025, 2026 when they expand it to
2024 is what they're hoping for.
when they expand it to the 12 team playoff, that'll hopefully like take away some of that controversy. But it's just like when you put so much focus on like a win against a ranked opponent. Well, okay, so you beat them when they were ranked number 4, and then they dropped to number 10. So do you get credit for beating the 4 or credit for beating the number 10 ranked?
Yeah, I really,
because you determined that by losing to them, they were not the 4th ranked best.
Yeah.
So like you should that it's like ticky tacky, but if you're gonna look at like, okay, well, this is their win against a ranked opponent, it should be off of where they dropped to for losing to you, not the other way around.
And I'm pretty sure Clemson, this is like going to be their hardest challenge all year. I'm pretty sure Florida State, actually. So I think they play Florida State. But other than that, they really have no...
It's the rankings are stupid.
Yeah.
Well, the hardest part too is like now with how drastic the top 5 compared to like the next 5 through 25 is.
Yeah.
Is, teams like Texas A&M will beat Alabama, but then teams will beat Texas A&M and go undefeated, and you're like, oh, well, they could have their shot to play Alabama. Well, it's like, no, because you have to look at colleges as two. NFL is different because they have the biggest guys in the NFL on your team.
They have the very best in the sport.
And your skill positions are good. But in college, you either have teams that are very skillful or just very big. Alabama does very well with both. Georgia is now coming up to the skill position, but for the longest time, Georgia was just big. So it's like they can stick around with an Alabama team because they have guys who are just
size,
big. But like you look at, if like Michigan beat Ohio State. Ohio State is a skilled enough team to hang with Georgia, but they're not. I don't think they were big enough last year. Michigan was big enough, but not skilled enough. So when like all you have is a run game, Kirby Smart's just gonna be like, no, I know how to figure that out. But we win.
Yeah.
So like when Cincy beats Notre Dame's not big or super skilled, but they're just good enough to beat everyone else.
Yeah. And Notre Dame absolutely sucks this year. They're terrible.
I mean, you watch that Cincy Alabama game. Some of the wide receivers on Cincy are 5'6", 130.
Yeah, dude, you got slot corners bigger than your freaking tight end. Like
the punter from Alabama's coming out is one of the bigger guys on Cincinnati's lineup.
You're like, wow, this punter looks like he could take it to your left tackle.
Yeah.
No, it's.
Which is not fair against if Cincinnati goes undefeated and has good wins, like you want to put him there. But you have to realize too is like UCF probably would have got destroyed by those bigger schools because back then it was Clemson was in there and Clemson was almost impossible to beat.
I do think UCF would have fared a little bit better.
Yeah, just
because they did have more established success at that point, whereas Cincinnati was like kind of like, whoa, Cincinnati's here. Like, okay, cool, good for them. They were the great story, but. They got their shot. The committee kind of did what they felt needed to be done. Okay, fine. How many times we want to keep flirting with this conversation about these non-power, like this non-AQ conference school that looks like they, it's hard to say they don't deserve it. You don't want to come out and be like, no, they're just not a big enough program because you don't want to discredit the program. But you finally ran in the point. It's like, okay, it's time to stop making this controversy. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
Here. No one complained that Cincinnati got number 4. Most college football fans wanted to see them get in.
Yeah.
And then we saw what happened, and it's kind of like, okay, we got what we asked for. That's how the game played out. Now we can expect to see less benefit of the doubt given to those smaller programs. Yeah. And I'm not necessarily like, while it sucks, it's hard to disagree with the thought process though, because a lot of times those small programs are reliant on a fluky win to get to that ranking.
Yeah.
So, I want to see the best of the best compete for the national championship. And while it's nice to see the story and be like, oh, the underdogs, here they are, they can do it, and then they never do. Like, come on, when we're talking underdogs in college football, it's like a number 4 beating a number 1.
Yeah.
Like, that's considered an underdog.
Yeah.
And very rarely, it happens, but very rarely are we seeing, unranked or like bottom half of the rankings come out and beat a top 5 team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I always go to the fact of I know people like Cincinnati because I think they were undefeated last year and UCF was undefeated, but it's to me, I would rather see a 2-loss Texas A&M or a 2-loss Auburn team play Alabama in that 4 spot or Ohio State because I'm it's gonna be a close game.
Yeah.
It's not fair to Cincinnati to beat Notre
No,
Dame.
that's right, exactly.
But it's you have to look at the paper and realize, all right, their running back's 180 pounds and everyone on Georgia's twice as big as him, so. Yeah, he might be the best running back in football, but when his offensive line is
when it's time for him to meet the best
100
defense,
pounds,
it's a whole different.
yeah,
Yeah, it's gonna be a whole.
just put him in a bowl game where you're matching up against maybe Kansas, who's a bigger program, and it's all right, now it's gonna be a good game. Everyone wants to see a good game.
That's like why I said, Cincinnati got in, and it was kind of like, hey, see, this is why it worked out as almost like this is why we don't put these matchups together for the playoff because this is what it is. No disrespect to the programs or anything. But they're smaller. Their players are smaller. Their skill positions are not as skilled. Like, that stuff is a legitimate factor. And while you love the underdog story, at some point, David meets a Goliath that he can't beat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, eventually he runs out of rocks to sling with that slingshot, man. And it happened. That's what happened with Cincinnati. And it all comes down, man, it's just, it is what it is. Rankings are stupid this early in the season. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah. And Clemson's pretenders.
Clemson is definitely pretenders. But, moving on, though, from still kind of talking rankings, but teams looking out for, more further proof of how the rankings are kind of crap, right? So Pitt right now is ranked, I believe, 17.
I believe so, around there.
Yeah, or they just were.
Yeah, or they were just 17. No, I think they're.
Well, because
they've only played 4 games, right?
So they're 17.
Right? They've played 4. We're going into week 5 this weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Correct.
Yeah.
So they've only played 4. So Pitt's 3-1.
Yeah, because they're 1 week ahead of.
So they should. I believe they're ranked number 17. If you want to fact check me on that, Bobby, that would be great. So Pitt is ranked number 17. They have a week. They've got a week.
They're 24.
Okay, so they dropped after the weekend.
Yeah.
Whatever. So they're still ranked. Is Kansas on there then?
Kansas State. No, I don't.
Kansas is not on there.
Kansas is not.
The Jayhawks.
The Jayhawks. No.
The football school or the basketball school.
No.
Interesting. So this works perfectly then. So Pitt is 3-1, correct?
Yes.
They're 3-1. Kansas is 4-0. Kansas is 28 total touchdowns on the season. I believe that puts them in the top 10-ish somewhere in touchdowns. Pitt is 18th, or has 18 touchdowns. That's not even.
Kansas is tied for first with Ohio State.
They are tied for first. Yeah. Okay, so top scoring offense versus middle of the road offense. 4-0 against the 6th strongest strength of schedule. Pitt's isn't even anywhere close to Kansas. Pitt's 3-1. They're ranked number 24. Kansas is 4-0. Number 1, tied for number 1 offense in college football against the 6th strongest strength of schedule so far in college football. Why are they not ranked?
Great point.
That's to further prove the point that rankings are stupid.
Yeah.
Which Kansas is my team that's having a surprising year. I would have never guessed Kansas would be doing this.
Me neither.
But they're having a really good year. Quarterbacks playing good quarterback play. Obviously, you have the best offense in college football. There's a reason. Your quarterback has to be a factor. While college is a little bit more run heavy, you still need a good quarterback.
Yeah.
But it's crap that they can be 4-0 against such a strong schedule, number 1 offense, and they have the same number of top 25 wins as Pitt. I think they have more, actually. But we're over here talking about Pitt's ranked 24 and Kansas isn't even in there because it's Kansas.
Yeah, because they're basketball school.
Yeah, it just is this is why rankings can be kind of BS. I'm not a Kansas fan. Couldn't care less about the football program.
That's true, and they just won.
But I want to recognize a team that should be ranked ahead of Pitt is a great example.
Yeah, that's a great
Like,
example.
how is Pitt, how do you justify them being there with
Pitt was good with Kenny Pickett last year.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that's
the
it.
only
That's all you
reason.
got
Well,
is that they.
And then they had Kendon Solvis and transfer protocol.
Yeah, so it's like that's all you got is like you've got names attached to your program, and that's why you're there.
Yeah.
That's why rankings are crap this early in the season and can kind of be crap throughout the whole season. But at least around halfway through is when it. Usually around that point is when you be like, okay, we know who the better teams are.
Yeah.
Halfway through, you're like, they don't make sense at 11, but almost everyone else makes sense.
Yeah. So like you get into that controversy way less halfway through the season because halfway through the season, okay, now you have established success at that point. You know, you can make it through the first couple of weeks and get one of those shocking upsets and like a fluky win, like we were talking about. And you know that can help you and everything, but to do it for half of a season is a little bit more consistent, and now it's easier to justify putting teams in certain spots.
Yeah, and then you should have played people at all levels. Like you play a team that's better than you, worse than you, and about your same level. So it's like, okay, they got wrecked by Alabama, but when they play teams their own level, they crush them, and they crush teams that are worse than them. So it's like, all right, so they're better. Alabama's just that good.
Yeah, like they're somewhere. Obviously, they're not up there in that upper echelon, but you know. They're ahead of like what's comparable to their level, right?
Yeah.
So it just Kansas should be ranked. Pitt, not saying Pitt shouldn't be ranked, but if Pitt's going to be ranked at 24, Kansas needs to at least be somewhere ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's just that's my team though to kind of shout out as the Kansas performance so far this year. Very shocking.
Very shocking.
From a basketball school.
Yeah, they just won the national championship.
Yeah. Not in football.
Yeah, not in football,
Well,
basketball.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen for a while.
I want to shout out Washington. They were absolutely dog shit last year.
Huskies, UW.
Yeah,
They beat Michigan State.
they.
They had a very good win against Michigan State. As much as I like Michigan State a lot, but yeah, they had a good win.
Yeah, I think Michigan State's feeling the pains of.
Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker.
Oh, when he's your whole offense. When your whole offense leaves.
Yeah,
You're
really.
at Georgia. You don't just replace, fix and replace again.
But yeah, they get 4-0, ranked 15 right now. It's very surprising. They were terrible last year.
Yeah, they honestly haven't been good since. Dude, who was that? Who was their quarterback? Oh man.
He was on the Colts. Jake.
No, it was before Jake Eason.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, before Jake.
Was it Alex Gordon?
The baseball player?
No. It was he's a quarterback.
No. I'll look it up.
He's definitely was the quarterback for them.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, Jake Browning?
Oh yeah, Jake Browning.
Jake Browning. Yeah. That's when they were ranked 4 and got embarrassed by Alabama in the college football playoff. As most teams, that's usually how it goes when you're the 4th in the playoff. You're probably not hanging in there with the 1.
That is true.
Yes, Jake Browning. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Thank you, Bobby.
Did
It's tough because he has the same name as Jake Eason. So
Yeah,
you're close.
I was like, I'm pretty sure I have his first name right.
Yeah.
didn't Minshew?
No, he was Washington State.
Oh, okay, Washington State. I always get those.
Wildcats or Cougars or whatever they were. Cougars.
That's where Clay Thompson
Where
went.
he set, I believe he set the Pac-12 passing yard record for a single season his last year at Washington State. Yeah, Minshew. He had a great year.
Minshew Mania.
He needs to get another shot. That's
He does. He
Yeah,
deserves a
yes.
shot. Bring him to Chicago.
But I would like to see.
We'll talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
I would definitely like to see what Washington can do if they keep this up.
Yeah, Washington's big thing when they were good and like consistently good was fast linebackers. I don't follow Pac-12 very much. Pac-12 is going to be obsolete here in a couple of years, anyways.
That is very.
This is where Washington has their stance to make their they have to.
Yeah,
like
they have to make their
UCLA
claim in the
and
Pac-12.
USC before those teams disappear, and you're like,
Yeah.
well, we beat Colorado and Colorado State. Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, well, we beat Arizona State in Washington. Like,
That's true.
No.
They do play Oregon, so I believe that's like the last week.
Oregon or Oregon?
Oregon.
Bo
I
Nix.
say Oregon.
I say Oregon. That's because Cole conditioned me to not say Oregon.
I've never said Oregon. I don't know why. I don't know if I
I
just.
think I
took
used to
college
say
football.
it, and then like in high school, after being friends with Cole, and I would say like Oregon, he'd be like it's Oregon, and so like I just like it's kind of like a nun just whipping your hand with a ruler until you're no longer left-handed. It just kind of worked that way.
Sure.
But he didn't whip me. He would just be like Oregon.
And
Oregon.
you're still left-handed.
I'm still left-handed. Wearing a ring on my left hand drives me nuts.
Yeah, I think I would definitely rather have it on my left hand.
It's
Well, yeah,
supposed to be on your
Well,
left hand.
well,
You're
yeah,
right.
because I'm a right.
Yes.
But if I was a lefty, I would be pissed. Yeah, I agree.
That
Does
don't
it feel
right,
more?
though.
It doesn't feel right.
No, I'm like still getting. It's weird, man. Getting used to the ring. When I clap and stuff, like sometimes I hit the ring and gosh, kind of stings. I'm not even kidding. It's tungsten. It's a hefty ring, man. Listen to this thing. That's my ring.
When I barely move my hand, hit my other hand. It hurts.
No. Like I'm getting into it. It's when I'm clapping on the finger. It's the finger to finger action. It hurts a little bit. It stings.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Because it catches like the bone right here. It's just like there's no meat there.
Yeah,
I might as well just slap tungsten.
Nick Love.
Speaking of tungsten, my team that I'm looking forward to is in the top 10, Tennessee. They're just playing really well.
Is Tennessee known for tungsten? Or are we just going
Tungsten in Tennessee sounds very
T's?
simple.
Okay, the T's. We're going for the T's. Top 10 Tennessee tungsten. Got it.
Yeah, that is-
Look at that tongue
That was a
twister.
good tongue twister, man. I'll give you credit for that.
So they played two no-name schools. They beat Ball State easily, and they beat who else did they beat? They beat Akron by 56 or 57.
Oh,
Yeah, you should beat Akron. I thought you were about to
They
pull
beat-
out Akron's the win against them. It was like this is a key win.
No,
Like
they
this.
beat Pitt in overtime by 7, and then they just beat Florida on Saturday. They beat them 38-33.
Ooh.
Which like
Bulls.
those are the ones where like they're in the top 10. So any loss that they take is going to push them out of the top 10. But when you beat teams like Florida, Pitt's you're beating ranked teams. That's good.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure later on they're going to come up to. Okay, so we're playing LSU this week, which LSU's not the same as they were before.
No.
Oh, that's W right
But
there.
that's still it's at LSU,
It's an
So
SEC opponent.
so that's where anything can happen. But then after that, they play Alabama, and then
Well, that'll be the one where we'll see what Tennessee is in that.
and then they
matchup.
play Tennessee Martin. So if they lose that game, they're out of the top 25.
Do-
If they win, nothing happens.
Do they
But
play
then-
Kentucky at all?
And then they play Kentucky,
Okay.
and then the next week they play Georgia.
Oh,
yeah.
dude, they
So-
might have the hardest schedule right there,
Oh my gosh.
dude.
Oh.
So you're playing 1 and 2, and you're playing Kentucky, and you've already played Florida, and Pitt's ranked.
They have a legit schedule.
They do.
And then their last 3 weeks are Vanderbilt, which they're not great, but they're not like
You should beat Vanderbilt.
yeah. And then
Vanderbilt's a
they
bunch
play
of doctors on the
they play
field.
Mizzou and South Carolina, which again you should win, but it's an SEC game where it's just you don't know what's
out
going
of
to happen.
all those schools, I will say if they could get Kentucky, at least,
I-
like out of Alabama, Georgia. If you could get Kentucky,
You got to win one of those three.
Yeah,
They'll probably have a 2-loss season at least.
yeah.
Until you're undefeated and they're ranked number 1.
I would like to see
That would be
You
shocking.
have to
but
be
like-
right. If you beat
If-
Georgia and Alabama,
Yeah. Oh,
you have
no
to
doubt, no doubt. If Kentucky goes, if they win out for the season, that means they had to beat, or I'm sorry, Tennessee. That means they have to beat Kentucky. They have to beat Alabama. They have to beat Georgia.
That's be Tennessee Martin.
Tennessee Martin, which is a very it's a
That'd be
tough
terrible.
program. All right,
If
that's,
you beat
that's a
Alabama-
trap game. That Tennessee Martin's a
You beat
trap game.
Alabama, you lose to Tennessee Martin, and then you beat Kentucky and Georgia, and you're like, wow, well, we could have been 1, but we lost to this corrupt
And they're like,
school.
look at they lost to tennis. They lost to the community college 2 miles down the road.
Yeah, for
Yeah, no, they don't deserve that top 5.
They paid him $5
No,
million.
if they went undefeated with, especially with that schedule, no, there is absolutely zero chance they end the season ranked anywhere but number 1.
Yeah, like you just
Like you don't beat Alabama and Georgia in the same season and go undefeated and then go
But you're gonna have those
But
big, you're gonna
Ohio
have those Big
State beat
Ten,
Michigan.
and you're gonna be like, yeah, Michigan beat Ohio State. Yes, so they beat 2 of the best schools ever.
And notice how both of those schools beat the piss out of Ohio
Michigan.
State and Michigan. What are we talking about?
Yeah, honestly, it sucks for any team in the SEC that is not Alabama or Georgia.
Well, Tennessee's looking solid.
They do
Like
look
when you have to play both, like I would always say like Georgia has to play Alabama usually twice because they play them and then they play.
Yeah,
them
that's
in the
a, like,
championship. But it's like at least you're playing the same good team twice. Tennessee's like, all right, well we just got our asses kicked by Alabama, and 3 weeks later we can play Georgia.
Let's go get our asses spit in by Georgia now.
True. If they, I really want them to see them beat Alabama.
I'd like to see them win one of those 3, not the Georgia one,
If
obviously.
they
Yeah.
can beat Alabama and Kentucky, that should be a 1-loss top 14.
Yeah, they should. Definitely.
Easy.
And I don't know what
Like,
I don't know.
you-
I don't know what side of the
Absolutely.
conference they're on. So like I don't know if they lose to Alabama. I think and like if they beat Alabama but lost to Georgia, then Georgia would still play in the SEC championship. But that's one of those things where it's like, no, even though they didn't play in the championship game and they have one loss, they beat Alabama and Kentucky.
Yeah.
They should be in there.
But I think it's because they're in the same division of the SEC.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm pretty sure Tennessee and
Tennessee and Georgia are in the same.
yeah, so that would be the reason they don't is if let's entertain that hypothetical. So if they do win out and they're a one loss team and it's to Georgia and Georgia's undefeated, or even if Georgia's a one loss team, Georgia would hold the tiebreaker in their division of the SEC, which is why they would be in the championship game.
Yeah.
But the good news is
No,
that
I'm saying they'd be in the championship game, but then would the committee knock them from the top 4 because they didn't play in the championship game?
No,
no, they would probably assuming. No, actually, no. Well, let me see here. So if Georgia was undefeated and their one loss was the championship game to, say, Alabama, then they probably don't get in, assuming Alabama's is a one-loss team as well.
To Tennessee.
Then you're like, okay, well, Georgia's better than Tennessee. Alabama will beat Georgia.
And we're not gonna have 3 SEC.
You gotta let the SEC champion in. There's no way you don't.
Yeah.
So they got to go in, and then you got to go Georgia versus Tennessee, head-to-head matchup. Georgia won. You would have to assume Georgia gets it at that point. Now, let's say Georgia goes undefeated and gives Alabama their second loss of the season. Then yes, Tennessee would probably get the 4th spot at least.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to put 2-loss Alabama in there over 1-loss Tennessee who beat them.
Yeah.
And
I'm in for that. Give me that.
And it worked
Tennessee
out. It
versus
worked out
Georgia.
last year for Georgia and Alabama. Alabama won or beat Georgia in the regular season, and then Georgia beat them in the SEC championship game.
Yeah.
And then they met in the national championship, and Georgia beat the piss out of them.
Yep.
So those things. The SEC is the only conference that gets that extra benefit, is because of how strong it is. The committee would look at that scenario with Tennessee and Georgia and Alabama and be like, okay, 2-loss Alabama is out. Tennessee would go in because it's hard to take an 11-1 team that beat Alabama and go, no, sorry.
But
This Big Ten team that's one loss deserves to be in there because they won the Big Ten championship.
Yeah.
there's been a lot of spreading, like Tennessee, Kentucky. Like no one really expected these SEC teams to be that good. Honestly.
Yeah, especially top 10 Tennessee Tungsten, man.
Yeah.
Say that, Bob.
No,
Come on. Just once for the
Tennessee
fans.
Tungsten.
No. Top 10 Tennessee Tungsten.
Top 10 Tennessee Tungsten.
See, it's not that hard.
It's pretty hard.
How about the toy boat one? Come
No,
on.
I'm not.
Give us a
doing
toy boat.
No,
Come on.
No,
Toy
we're
boat,
not
toy
doing
boat.
toy boy.
You can't even do it once. All right, but perfect. That's Toboyan. Well, oh, that was beautiful. So that'll pretty much sum up our college football talk for the episode. Now
we're gonna learn how to talk.
Now, so you guys thought this was gonna be a football episode. No, this is gonna be all about linguistics. So we're gonna go over phonetic spelling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Bobby, say it with me.
Ruby Red
Toy
Omega.
boat.
Toy boat.
That's so funny if you didn't say it.
No, try this one. Peter Piper picked up.
No, I'm not saying that anymore.
Come on,
It's too many. It's too many.
It's
Too
too
many
many.
clues.
Too many. Also, want to give a shout out. USC's ranked 6, so.
Yeah.
Well, they're still going to lose to all those guys I told you. They're going to lose to Washington. They're going to lose to UCLA.
They don't
They're
play.
going to
They
lose
don't
to
play
Arizona.
Yeah, good. Thank God they don't, because they're losing if they play
They're
Washington.
going to lose to Oregon/Oregon, depending on
Depending on how you say it. Don't
They
make Cole.
almost lost to Oregon State.
the Beavers.
The Beavers.
Hey, they
The
won.
Beaver Dam.
Yeah, they chopped down that wood.
I hope that's what they call their student section is the Beaver Dam.
Well, they're just missing out if they don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
really
just a
are.
missed opportunity. Have you seen Michigan State's? It's stupid. It's like the Shark Tank or something.
They're the Spartans.
And it's got shark fins and waves. It's like I remember seeing it. And I'm like,
terrible.
like,
I hate it.
what is this? Like the Shark Tank?
What?
I'm looking it up right
honestly,
now.
I'm bad
I'm
for
looking it up
that.
right now, Bobby. Let's get going on NFL talk though, Bobby. You lead it.
All right, you want me to dive in on the Bears?
Sure.
All
Yeah,
right.
me and you should probably start on the Bears because Andrew's going to come in
Oh,
and
yeah,
talk
he's-
about how they're the best team ever because they beat the 49ers when it was raining. So
It's called the deep end.
the deep end.
I don't know why. They're Spartans. They could have come up with something better.
Yeah, true.
I
Like,
like it. I don't like it. No, don't bring that up again. Don't bring that up. It's gonna piss me off.
Yeah, it's stupid. Now I'm mad.
Just
I don't get mad
I'm
about sports, but I
angry.
get mad about the.
I get mad about stupid names for your student section.
Yeah.
They're not even the best team in Michigan, so.
No, not this year.
Yeah, Western Michigan's better.
Ah. They had their time. They had their time. It's past now.
Yeah, that's really the best. But yeah, Bears game, piss poor offensive performance, honestly. It
No. Piss poor quarterback performance. They ran for 284 yards, Bobby,
With Khalil Herbert.
with Khalil Herbert.
Not David Montgomery. All right.
Yeah, well, he got hurt. That is what it
He
is.
was my flex for fantasy this week.
Yeah,
284
He
yards. It was not. It was not a crap
Yeah.
offensive performance. It
It
was
really
a bad
screwed me, too.
quarterback performance.
And the thing that is the most mad about that is you're playing a bad team.
Bad team.
You might be not a good quarterback that's comfortable in your system, but you're playing a bad team.
Bad
That's
team.
when you should have success.
Yes.
Playing against the Packers, I'm gonna be honest. I really don't care if Justin Fields.
Yes. In Green Bay Sunday night. Yeah. Okay. You're gonna get a little rattled. It's a whole different level of ball club you're facing there.
Yeah.
It was the Texans, man.
Name one defensive player for the Texans. Bob.
That Petrie guy, dude.
Yes.
Who got the 2 picks? And
He got the
he's
2
the 3 sacks.
interceptions
He's
in
good
the
as hell, man.
sack. Yeah.
Uh, Derek Stingley Jr.
I will say.
I guess it's easier to name Texans players when we just played
We
them.
just
We all
played
watched the
them.
game.
Yeah. Well,
That's up to you in 2 weeks.
I will say this.
Actually, I don't think I could really read. I was watching on a phone, so.
Yeah, we were watching on Hulu Live and Xfinity Live.
Yes.
But I will say this: Bears squeaked out a dub against Houston. Lovie Smith did not get that win back in Chicago. But pay Roquan, man. All right,
Honestly, that was.
it's time. Roquan stole the win for you guys, pretty much. Now
Like-
I forget the defensive lineman who got his hand on the ball that Roquan ended up intercepting. But boom, come on. What else do we need to see anymore at this point? Just give him the contract. Also, Roquan, hire yourself an agent so that stuff goes way more smooth.
Yeah.
But the focus of talking about the Bears, I feel like we need to talk about the quarterback play, the offense. We'll go offense for your sake.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about offense. Cole Kmet got his first reception of the season.
Darnell Mooney had his second.
I just like when the tight ends actually touch the ball.
No,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask the question, and you guys just be honest here. Is it time to start worrying about Justin Fields?
I'm gonna say give it
You're
like
doing a scale 1 to 10 because that's easy.
Yeah,
Just saying yes doesn't
10
go.
10 is like
10 is fire, like everything's on
full
fire.
blown panic. He's going to be a bust.
no. I'm saying you're sitting at 4. New
4.
offensive scheme. I'm not sold on Luke Getsy as is. Honestly,
I'm going to disagree with you heavily.
a lot of it. But dude, it's a lot of it shotgun runs and same shit that we saw with Nagy. It's like I really feel
The
like
difference is they're like the 3rd highest rushing offense
Yeah.
in the NFL.
yeah, but
For me, I'll let you finish before I go.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
I
Well,
don't know.
no talking over.
like I said, I do feel our receivers are a huge disadvantage for us. And yes, Justin Fields made some terrible mistakes, but you gotta let him make the mistakes so we can grow from it.
Okay.
To me, I'm at a 6. For what you said, kind of to me, it's obvious to see that last year Justin Fields was told not to run when it was a design pass play, because you can see multiple times where it's 3rd and 5, the closest defender is 10 yards on the field, so just run for the first down. But he tries to force a bad pass, or he sits there and takes a sack. So it's to me that's not him, because at Ohio State he ran all the time.
Mhm.
So I feel like Matt Nagy was like, no, you can't do that. So I feel like in his mind, he's thinking it both times. So he's like, I can't run, I'm going to pass. So that's more of is in his second system in 2 years or whatever. The problem that I have, why I have it a 6 and not a 4, is he's making interceptions or he's overthrowing guys by 20 yards.
He's making bad decisions.
I don't care if Luke Getsy, Matt Nagy, I don't care if you don't have an offensive coordinator. If Cole Kmet's wide open over the middle of the field, you hit him wide open over the middle of the field. You don't throw it to the safety who's 10 yards back from him.
Yeah.
That's just you're bad.
That's a bad throw.
Yeah,
Simple as that.
That's
So
my problem with Trubisky. Trubisky missed open guys. I don't
Yes.
care if Matt Nagy's offense sucks. If Allen Robinson's wide open and he catches anything in a 30-inch circle outside of his hands, throw it there. Don't throw it over his head. That's on Trubisky.
So I'm agreeing with you, Nick. I'm at a 6, 6.5. I guess you could be flirting with 7 depending on how week 4 goes. The issue, the problem I'm having right now with Justin Fields, and I'm you heard me all Sunday, Bobby. I'm trying to like do my best to give the benefit of the doubt to him. But at the same time, I'm not seeing any growth from him as a player. I'm aware his wide receivers aren't very good, right? But guys are getting open. If you watch the All-22 film, guys are getting open. The problem with Justin Fields, and something that he struggles with, is that he doesn't make anticipatory throws. He throws when he sees the guy is open, which if you, in the NFL, you're too late. Like if you're throwing when he's open, he's going to be covered by the time the ball gets there. And that's something that is a big adjustment that he needs to make. On top of that, because that's how he is seeing the field, he's holding the ball too long. Yeah, he gets sacked a lot, and part of that is that the offensive line sucks. There's times when the pocket collapses really quickly, and it's just kind of like, well, that's not on. What can you do at that point?
Yeah.
Like he can't even finish his drop. But on quick passes, like everyone's talking about how they're not seeing them throw slants or anything. They are. It's just that Fields holds the ball.
Yeah.
He's not throwing to the spot. He wants to see the receiver open, which is not going to lead to success in the NFL. And with his offensive line, could it be better? Sure. The thing is, both of his tackles, Braxton Jones and what's his face, Larry Borum.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, Larry
I was
Borum.
like, huh? I was like, what?
Larry Borum and Braxton Jones are both graded in the top 10 for passing, pass block win rate out of all offensive linemen. So your two tackles, your blindside tackle and then your other tackle, are both top 10. They're I think 7 and 8 or 8 and 9 respectively. Again, compared to all offensive linemen. So all 5 linemen on all 32 teams. That's very good performance from those guys.
Yeah.
Tevin Jenkins, when he plays guard, is graded pretty highly. Cody Whitehair is consistently graded pretty highly, but those are more run blocking grades. But their pass blocking's okay. Lucas Patrick had a rough day blocking against Houston.
Like shit.
But he's also blocking with a club on his hand.
Why are you throwing him out there?
Because they want him to he's going to be the center when his hand's better. So they don't want they're just rotating them. They're claiming Tevin Jenkins isn't showing enough. I disagree. But I'm not, that's the coach's decision. But with Justin Fields, it's just like you're not seeing him get better at reading a defense. You're not seeing him evaluate the field. He's making bad throws. It's one thing, forcing a pass is forcing a pass. And it's a bad decision 9 times out of 10, right? When you miss open guys, like Nick pointed out, that's pretty rough. And even if you're throwing into sorry, I keep having the hiccups. Even if you throw into double coverage, you're missing the double coverage. You're the Cole Kmet throw that we're talking about. Cole Kmet was double covered, practically triple covered, and the throw was still 10 feet over his head to Petrie, who's 5-6 yards past behind the play.
Yeah.
So it was a horrible throw through and through. It's different if he tries to force it and it's picked off by the guy directly covering Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
But on that same play, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Equinemius, is wide open on the sidelines. And Justin Fields didn't even look that way. And there's times when Fields has time in the pocket and he's just missing open receivers.
Yeah.
And he's not reading, his vision and what he's seeing on the field is sketchy right now. And my concern is that he's not learning how to anticipate throws, and he's not comfortable throwing to a spot rather than to a guy.
Yeah.
That, so much of routes and everything in the passing offense is just about hitting the spot. Your receiver will get there, throw it there. You should be able to tell. A perfect example of this is when Kirk Cousins had that what looked like a terrible interception to Darius Slay on that Monday night game against the Eagles, and everyone's like, what a terrible throw. But what happened is Justin Jefferson changed his route at the break of the route.
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of stuff that that's how the passing attack is kind of designed, is he's going to break at a certain spot. If he's breaking outside and you see the defenders on the inside, throw it to the outside, he's going to get there. It's that kind of stuff that he's not doing correctly, and it's leading to a lot of sacks. And so I'm at a 6. I don't agree with you, Bobby. I don't think Luke Getsy is bad as an offensive coordinator, because at the end of the day, the offense is running for over 200 yards a game.
But
that should be helping your quarterback, but it's not, because your quarterback's not reading the field well. Yes, Justin Fields has to learn a new offense. Sure, that's not easy. I'm not saying it is, but at the end of the day, the stuff that should be easy to him, he's messing up.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's in his own head about it or if he's overthinking. Don't know. But he truly looks lost out there.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming the offensive coordinator because they're not doing anything intricate.
Especially in a game like that. Like, to be fair, you can only review them on 2 games. 49ers game is a wash because
The rating is what it is.
Packers, good team. So, all right, now we got to run. We can't run simple slants because they're going to cover that. They're a good defensive team. Texans are not. So it's like, all right, Fields, here you go. Here's a very
Texans
simple
are actually
playbook.
pretty decent on defense.
Okay, yeah, I think teams have been playing terrible against them, but
Can't give up 300 yards rushing.
yeah, and
but their coverage is where it's at. Like they have Desmond King, they have Derek
I hear you.
Jr., Jalen
They-
Petrie. Like
The Texans are an okay team, but they're not great. Like,
you should have success even if you're a bad quarterback. Like,
yeah, and especially like you can tell in the game plan how comfortable the Bears offense is with Justin Fields throwing the ball, and it's not much.
yeah,
Because they're like, yes, you have to let the dude make his mistakes, but you also have to protect him from his mistakes.
yeah,
Which is like, so if we're seeing right now with the volume of Justin Fields has completed 23 passes through 3 weeks. That's really not good. He's attempted like 50 passes through 3 weeks. We're not even averaging 20 pass attempts a game.
yeah.
Right? So you look at like his throwing, the amount of times he throws the ball versus how many bad throws he's making, it's not a good percentage for him. He's just not capitalizing on his opportunities, and when he's given opportunities, he's more likely to make a bad throw than he is to make a good throw right now. And you can't blame you cannot, I don't care how much you want, like we like the guy, you cannot pin all of that solely on his receivers and offensive coordinator.
no,
At the end of the day, he has to show that he's capable of playing quarterback. And I'm starting to give up on the excuse of, well, the team sucks. Because we watch quarterbacks with way less doing more. I'm just like, that's the reality. Like, guys are getting open, you're missing them.
I mean, I look at this Lions last year. Jared Goff is arguably last year Justin Fields is rookie, but Jared Goff had nothing.
Yeah.
T.J. Hawkinson was pretty good, and DeAndre Swift is good, but it's a running back. He made Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown was undervalued when he got drafted, but Jared Goff made him better. Justin Fields is not making Darnell Mooney better. He's not making Equanimeous St. Brown better. Cole Kmet, I feel so bad for him. He got drafted, and it was like, we're never going to use you ever, though.
Cole Kmet's a mystery.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what kind of talent he is. I feel like
Ryan Griffin. I feel like Ryan Griffin's a pretty solid tight end, but either you're not scheming to your tight end, or when they actually are open, Justin Fields is just not seeing him because he's not.
Yeah, like I
will
will agree
because
that
on draft day they talked about how smart Justin Fields was compared to all the quarterbacks in the past 10 years.
yeah.
And he was really good with his arm strength. But when you can't make the predictive throws like Andrew's talking about, his 2 touchdowns, one completely busted coverage, and his other one, it was past he didn't have to make a good throw.
Like,
he just had to throw it far enough.
The thing with Fields, like the flashes are there, and I'll agree they could probably benefit from running under center more. He's definitely more comfortable under center. Like, I'm not saying Luke Getsy is not guilty of making mistakes and like misusing Fields.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Bears they're trying to win football games. They're not tanking, right? And so his job as an offensive coordinator is to call the game in a way that will win you the game.
Yeah.
So, if they're running the ball for 280 yards and, Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery when it was against Green Bay are both they're averaging over 5 yards a carry, yes, you're going to lean on the run game. The problem is that when you finally go to throw the ball, like if your quarterback, when he finally throws the ball, makes a bad throw, it's hard to go, okay, well, now let's go right back to it.
Yeah.
Because, Justin Fields has shown flashes. He's made good plays here and there, but then, he's shown just as many drive-killing plays. And that's the problem is, how much do you, yes, I agree, Bobby, he needs to make his mistakes. They do need to throw the ball more. You do have to let him mess up and hope that he learns from it. And I think he's capable of that. But you also can't just kill a drive and kill your team's momentum for the sake of getting more experience than
Yeah.
Justin Fields.
No, I
That's the
understand.
balance that I think they're struggling with a little bit right now. But Fields definitely has to start playing better,
No,
and he
I-
has to be more accurate throwing the
No,
ball.
I agree, and like I said, but I really think this is just. I think whatever like switch transition this is has been very hard on him because this is probably the worst we've seen.
Yeah, I hope this is like just growing pains. But that's why I'm putting it at a 6, because, in my opinion, anything 5 and under is kind of like, that's more so of a team factor than a player factor. 6 is kind of like, okay, there's a lot of issues with the team, but also his play isn't where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not expecting him to be, offensive player of the year or anything, but he looks worse than he looked last year.
Yeah.
Like he's very clearly like not comfortable or something. I get they're changing some of his footwork because they're trying to mimic the Luke Getsy offense in Green Bay, which is there's a lot of parallels between their offense, and one of those big things is footwork. Like Justin Fields, they're taking what he's used to doing as like a 4 or 5 step drop, and it's like, no, this is a 3-step drop. So your footwork has to be completely shifted for this play, or else you're not going to be able to get your drop off properly.
Yeah.
So there's growing pains. He just needs, his timing needs to get better, and he needs to do better like anticipating throws.
Yeah.
Waiting to see someone open is not going to work very long in the NFL. Against bad teams it'll work, but against like any defense that's worth their weight in sweat, or worth their. I messed up the saying; it totally derailed me there. But like any respectable defense in terms of coverage is going to be able to like make up for that. Like you can't wait for them to be open, because at that point you're dependent on busted coverages.
Yeah.
And that's to me like this. I'm gonna kind of move us on to the Bills, because I'm like, if you put Justin Fields in Josh Allen's spot, Justin Fields is he's screwed because their running game isn't established. To me, like Josh Allen can see as a top 5 quarterback because he's playing a game where the defense is pretty much reading pass every time, and he's still finding open guys and throwing for. I'm pretty sure he threw for almost 300 or over 300 yards against Miami. Justin Fields, if they're keying on his passing, isn't going to be good. He's going to throw a lot more interceptions, and he's going to have to throw 40 passes, but he might complete 17. Where I don't understand how Josh Allen's doing it, because defensively,
they don't run the
just
ball
be like,
in Buffalo.
I would just be like, we're going to
No.
put 2 guys in the box, and one guy's just going to spy on Josh Allen because he'll truck our linemen. So
He threw almost 60 pass attempts against Miami. Like they do not run the ball in Buffalo. Like one of the key something that is like so fundamental and so basic of like helping your quarterback is to establish a run game.
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing, is establish a run game, and like it makes life easier on your quarterback because now you get play action. He doesn't have to throw the ball 60 freaking times a game, and it's like the Bills' run game is also coincidentally Josh Allen.
Yeah, it really is.
It's
last year, I'm pretty sure he led the league. He led the team in rushing yards and touchdowns.
I wouldn't be shocked.
And that was the whole point of.
We talk about Lamar Jackson's rushing ability.
When we were talking about running backs during the draft, I was a big thing of Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker should be on the Bills' #1 list.
Same.
And you should trade up to get them because your team's already set. You have so many pieces.
You get a running back, right?
Get a running back, and you're like, okay, we're gonna get James Cook. I feel like Devin Singletary is their guy, and he was the guy who was there last year. So what are you?
In week 2, he got a lot of against the Titans. James Cook got, I think, a lot of carries, but still,
but also that was a blowout to where it was But same thing. Why are you not running the ball when you're up?
Yeah.
The Bills gave every chance for Miami to come back. Miami played good, but if you're passing 60 times, that makes the game so much longer because every incompletion clock stops.
Yep.
Yeah.
And a negative 3-yard run from James Cook or Devin Singletary, the clock's still running.
Yeah.
And then you gotta hope.
And that's the thing. Like, if you can't establish a running game, like, good teams need to be able to manage the clock. And like when you have a lead and you're protecting a lead, your focus it's like you want to end every drive scoring, but when you're protecting a lead, you want to chew as much clock as you can.
Yeah.
And if you're like just throwing the ball all the time, and a lot of pass plays go towards the sidelines in the NFL, like it's just kind of a lot of routes end up on the sidelines and they're out of bounds. Clock is stopping, although there's rules that have changed that and stuff. But still, like inside 2 minutes or inside 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, the clock stops. So it's like if you're trying to manage clock and everything, you need to be able to run the ball. They do not run the ball at all. They're still very good. Don't get me wrong. Miami, though, let's not let this overshadow what Miami's accomplished so far through 3 weeks.
They really have
3-0. Nick's low-key looking like a genius over here.
Hey,
we clowned you for the Miami prediction of winning the division. Not saying it's going to happen.
No,
that's a key win right there against Buffalo. That is a key win.
They show that they can do. I mean, they've beaten them and the Patriots. The Patriots always come because Bill Belichick loves young quarterbacks. He just makes them look silly all the time.
Yeah.
But when you have a guy like Tyreek Hill, you don't really need, all he has to do is just catch the ball. And
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are 2 and 3 in receiving yards in the league.
They're insane.
I expect them to both be over 1,000 yards on the season for sure.
It's gonna be like Madden.
Yeah, they're gonna have a Madden level year.
They really are.
I think my favorite takeaway from the game, though, is besides the running, is the offensive coordinator from Buffalo. Absolutely
Ken
going
Dorsey?
crazy on his freaking little tablet.
Oh yeah, dude.
When they get the playoff at the end of the game. But that's another one too. If you're Isaiah McKenzie, you have to be smarter.
Yeah, he didn't run out of bounds. I couldn't believe it.
He didn't run out of bounds, but also, to me, if he would have just dove on the ground and handed the ball off to the ref, they would have been able to snap or spike the ball.
Yeah.
You have to know, like, okay, I can't get a bounce, but if I just make this guy miss, I'm not getting a touchdown. Yeah, if that's the last defender, I can see arguing, like, oh, he wrapped me up, but I would get a touchdown. You just dive down the middle and spike the ball.
Yeah, that was unbelievable, man.
Yeah, it really was.
I almost made my hotspot, though, this. Have you realized that Miami, when they're playing teams from a colder climate, have been switching? They'll wear white as the home team. So that the Patriots last week had wear dark navy blue.
That's why they wear white a lot in Miami.
And then the Bills this week had to wear their blue uniforms. Usually away teams are wearing white.
They wear white to reflect the sun.
Since it's so humid, Miami's either wearing that light teal or orange or white, so they're not really feeling the effect. And the Patriots are sitting there in dark navy, and they're freaking dying.
Yeah, that had to be awful.
But yeah, so
playing in Miami's tough.
But to think about that, just even Jersey's coming to play for that. Miami's going all out this year. They're like, no, we're winning.
Yeah, I really like that Mike McDaniel too.
Yeah, it's looking good. I mean, it helps having the 2 fastest players in the NFL as your number 1, number 2 receiver in whatever order you put them in. They're truly interchangeable. They're fast as hell. Like you got to give a lot of props to them.
You're the Chiefs 2.0. I mean, the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, and I'm not saying Mike Gesicki's anywhere close to Travis Kelce, but when you have a solid tight end who can catch over the middle, and then you had another speed guy on the outside, you're just like, all right, we're pretty good.
Yeah, no, they're pretty set. And then another team to give a shout out to, Colts finally getting the win column.
They beat the Chiefs.
Against the Chiefs. Yeah. Like, shocking win, I think, for a lot of people.
True. And that's another team that could not get the ball. They could not run at all.
Chiefs?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chiefs don't have much of a run game.
Yeah.
But I think that throws you off by not having Tyreek Hill. You always got to have someone sitting back there because you don't know when Tyreek Hill is just going to.
Yeah, they don't have the speed to stretch the field, so now you can play more guys in the box.
Yeah, because Juju Smith-Schuster's not super fat. Like, he's quick, but
he's a possession receiver, not a speed guy.
Yeah.
Mecole Hardman, he's also not fast as Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
You can try to catch him down and put another guy in the box to stop the run.
Was this a bad game by the Chiefs, or are the Colts back?
I think the Colts have finally kind of found their stride as a team.
I'm
giving the ball to Jonathan.
I'm not saying the Chiefs had a bad game. I think the Colts have just underperformed the first 2 weeks of the season. So, hopefully this is more so what to expect. This is the game we kind of thought the Colts were going to be playing like all season. So first 2 weeks is just like, whoa, what happened here?
That's true.
But the team that is this team here or not is the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Jacksonville just handed it to
the
Chargers.
Looked really good. I'll give him credit.
Joey Bosa was hurt. He didn't play at all, or did he get hurt early in the game?
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know.
I know he was.
I was helping move, so
yeah.
I just saw the score and was like, holy shit! Like, and it's funny because like the week or the day before that game started, you were talking about, do you start Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
Who did you start? Because I'm pretty sure I told you to go Trevor Lawrence.
Herbert. Terrible mistake, but I would have lost anyways.
A lot of yards, but no touchdowns. So like that was.
It's good. It's like rib cartilage.
So
Chase Daniel should have played that game.
Rib cartilage hurt.
I think so.
So that's what we were talking about last week of like, who do you play? To me, all right, you didn't know you were going to lose the game. You're not expecting to lose the game.
Yeah.
But you put Chase Daniels out there now. Jay Herbs is ready to go. If he's ready to go last week, he's ready to go this next week. But you make him play now. He's going to feel the
You
effects
could
of
have
that.
you could have risked a setback.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the same thing where I'm feeling. I was watching the Monday night game, and they were talking about Dak Prescott said he might come back next week. I would just give you an extra week off. Cooper Rush is doing fine.
Yeah.
You're undefeated with Cooper Rush. Let that man
But like,
ride him until you're fully healthy. Like
Yeah,
you don't need to
exactly.
rush back. If Cooper Rush does not look bad at all.
No.
He looks impressive. I mean, we talked about it already. I guess they didn't need Bandinucci. Bandinucci. Come on, Nick, just do it.
No.
Bandinucci.
The other one I use is Mike Lennon.
Mike Lennon.
Mike Lennon.
Dude, those videos are hilarious. No, the Monday night game was actually pretty good. Sterling Shepard probably torn ACL.
Ooh.
ACL injury.
It
They didn't
bumped.
say torn,
Yeah, but it looked bad.
but a non-contact drop and holding the knee is almost always torn ACL.
Yeah.
Which that bumps me out. I don't like when people get hurt, especially that stuff. But
Yeah.
I thought there was a good chance that the Bears might have been able to get Kenny Galladay on the cheap.
I think Kenny Galladay is still very much on the trade block.
I think he is too, but now that he's hurt, I feel like it's going to take a little bit more. And
I don't
if the
know.
Bears could have went after him for
Yeah.
like pretty much nothing, I would have been like,
I don't want him.
It's obvious that Kenny
He's tall.
Galladay. It's obvious that Kenny Galladay has no place on that offense for the Giants. The problem with Kenny Galladay, while I would have liked to see, I was actually rooting for the Bears to sign him originally. $18 million is very tough to justify paying him.
Yeah.
For basically one breakout year, and then he didn't play all of 2 seasons ago. Then he signs the big contract, has a terrible year last year, off to a terrible start this year. Maybe New York's just not the place for him. And do you take a gamble on $18 million a year? God knows you have the cap space to do it. But like, is Kenny Galladay what you want to be your big wide receiver acquisition, or do you want to go?
N'Keal Harry was.
Yes, for this team, yes, N'Keal Harry was their big move at wide
Exactly.
receiver.
But
Kenny
Who
Galladay's
else
gonna
is
go-
it? Byron Pringle, Velus Jones Jr., who
Kenny
hasn't
Galladay
played.
is going to go to either Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Rams, or the Chiefs, just because they always somehow get those guys, and he's going to have
Kenny Galladay is off to a bad second part.
He's been
part
targeted.
of his
He's
career.
been targeted 3 times.
Fifth
3 games.
on the depth chart.
Yeah, he doesn't play.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't see the field. He obviously, like, Brian Dable does not see a fit for him in the offense.
No, he did not.
Or it's like a attitude thing. One of the two. Either way, Kenny Galladay, he won't end the season in New York.
Yeah, he
no
will
way.
not, because that's $18 million.
And if he does, I expect them to cut him.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you trade for Kenny Galladay, you have to take on he's got 2 more years of guarantees on his contract. So you
Yeah.
have to take on the other, whatever it is, $20 million or whatever that you have to pay him for the next 2 years. You can afford to do it if you're the Bears with the cap space situation next offseason. Like, yes, you could take on the Kenny Galladay contract and it would barely make a dent in your cap space for next offseason. It's just, is that really what you want to be one of your biggest cap hits is Kenny Galladay?
Especially with an unsure like Justin Fields. Like,
Yeah, like
to me, I would rather go after OBJ. Yeah, still possible knee injury, but
I would entertain that more than Kenny Galladay.
Yeah,
I
because
think you
he's
can get
more
him cheaper for
established.
Galladay. Assuming his knee's good, he's got more speed. He's a much better athlete. Kenny Galladay is a big guy and everything, which is cool, but I would prefer OBJ. Not saying it's going to happen, but assuming he's fully healthy and good to go, yes, I would prefer him to Kenny Galladay. I do agree the Bears need to do something though for Justin Fields. Like you need to get him someone opposite of Darnell Mooney. So at least now defenses have to decide on who they want to cover.
Yeah.
Because like,
well, and it would help to have someone who's over 6 feet tall outside. I mean, you have Cole Kmet. I don't understand why you don't just tell him to spin around and do this.
Equinemius is like 6'4".
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah,
he's
same thing, but
big
it's
and
just like-
fast, but like he's just not very talented. Like I know I was super critical of Justin Fields, but getting if he has if a defense has to game plan, has to like pick between 2 receivers, that'll help him a lot. Like obviously he's not. I don't think he's used to seeing his guys wide open, which is part of the problem. But like
yes.
it'll help him be a little more comfortable having he has no relationship established with anyone on the offense outside of Darnell Mooney, and Mooney's not getting open at all.
Yeah.
So whatever. Kenny Galladay, I don't think he's obviously not long term. He's not going to finish out that contract.
No,
That seems to be the writing's on the wall there. But the Sunday night game absolutely sucked.
Yeah,
Back-to-back weeks.
Back-to-back weeks.
I don't remember.
Jimmy
the Sunday
Garoppolo
this
did not
week.
look great.
Oh, no.
No, he did
But
not.
it's hard going into Denver with that air, the elevation and everything. Dan Orlovsky is finally not alone for a throw from the outside the back of the end zone.
Okay, but
Although-
Dan Orlovsky's still 10 times worse.
His is way worse.
Ran for 8 steps and then was like,
Dude-
"Oh, I'm out of bounds."
Dude really went out and did his 40-yard dash on the end line and then threw it. At least like Garoppolo, like his heel touched the ground,
Like barely.
barely.
Yeah.
So
But
it's a little different. But
The
it,
problem though
you
is
know,
he then threw a pick 6 if he didn't step out.
But
so it's,
I saw on Twitter, it was hilarious. It was like Jimmy Garoppolo with the ultimate IQ play, saving 5 points by throwing a pick 6 on a safety. So instead of a 7-point touchdown, it's a 2-point safety. That game was terrible.
Really bad.
I'm just gonna say it. Russell Wilson looks horrible.
Yeah, we're talking
Bobby, I'll let you say the pun that I put in the
Dangerously bad.
dangerously bad.
Broncos country. Let's not throw a lot of completed passes.
Yes, Broncos country. Let's fall.
Yeah,
They look like dangerous. Russ looks terrible.
And this makes sense to me. Like, I understand DK Metcalf, one of the biggest targets you can have out there. Tyler Lockett, pretty solid. But Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, like,
no.
they're good.
Yeah,
like,
they're not terrible.
Not terrible. Melvin Gordon's a great pass catcher out of the backfield.
Yeah,
So it's like,
he just looks bad.
why are
Like,
you
I-
throwing 13 for 30? Like, I know we talked about it in week 2 when we were watching, and we're all of a sudden like, wait, Russell Wilson's like 7 for 28.
Yeah,
like that doesn't make any sense. Like,
Exactly. Like
he is not looking
he's
good.
practicing with that prime ball too much.
That's what
He's used to getting like 80 miles per hour on it. Now he's just like, why is this so heavy?
He's like, whoa, my hand, I can't cover it completely.
I got baby hands.
Well, now the question. So this is Russell Wilson's first time away from Pete Carroll. Who made who?
Pete Carroll.
That's how it's looking right now.
Yeah,
Like
really.
Russell Wilson does not look very good in a system that's not Pete Carroll's system.
Also, I
Pete
don't
Carroll's
know.
also not looking great without.
Okay, he's got Geno Smith, man. Like the
Yeah, I
the
know.
Seahawks are obviously blowing it up. Like they're so different. There's man, they're polar opposites at where they're trying to be as an organization.
To
Yeah.
me, it's just interesting to see like when Tom Brady left and Tom Brady won. It was like, well, obviously Tom Brady was better than Belichick, and then a year later, Belichick's like, no, watch this,
Yeah.
and it takes off. So it would be interesting in year 2 and 3, removed from Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Does Pete Carroll step back up, or was it kind of like a mutual thing? Of,
Yeah.
we're
Because
only
I think
successful
I think
together?
it was fair to say that Belichick would have been. I don't think he would have had the same amount of success without Brady, but he still would have been a good coach without Brady, and Brady probably would have been a good quarterback without him. But Russell Wilson so far looks terrible without Pete Carroll.
That is very true.
Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, they're not trying to contend. You know,
so you're not really like you're
You know,
doing
like
what you're expecting.
they have nothing on defense. They have nothing at the quarterback position.
They still beat the Broncos.
And they beat the Broncos. Geno Smith looked like an MVP quarterback.
He really
Now,
did.
Now
that
he looks
game.
like Geno Smith.
Now he looks like Geno Smith from the Jets. So
Yeah.
the Geno Smith we all came to know.
Yeah.
There was the Geno Smith that wasn't writing back. All right. Yeah, it was terrible. Such a
Yeah,
boring
honestly.
Sunday night game.
Yeah, it really did suck.
I hope.
And then a terrible game-ending interception. Jimmy G just thrown into triple coverage.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're doing.
I bet same.
Trey Lance could have done that one.
No, we had Chiefs Bucks for Sunday night this week. So
Bucks don't look good, but we'll talk about that more in Nick's picks.
no, I just wanted to look and see what.
That
I'm
leaves-
excited for that.
Yeah, so that leaves us with Nick. Your question of the week.
Yeah.
So this one, not a super fun one, but it's something who is your team outside of the Bears that you root for the most? Like, who's your favorite team outside of Chicago? Because I always think
I
that's
have a
interesting.
few.
Like,
Are we talking like ones like NFL or?
yeah, NFL. I'm
My
talking
favorite NFL team outside of Chicago is the Chargers.
like that's who you root for.
Yes.
So like you're always rooting for the Chargers unless they're playing the Bears, and obviously you're rooting for
Yes, I've long been a Chargers fan.
I was when LT was on the team. but then
Yeah,
after
same.
it-
LaDainian Tomlinson made me love the Chargers.
What do you, Robert?
I gotta go Bills.
Beals.
But
Really?
back to the tie guy
I thought-
days.
Yeah, and then it became the Panthers.
No,
It went Panther. Oh no, it went Panthers, Cardinals, Bills. That's how it worked. Coincidentally, when
well, Panthers, I just like Cam Newton, and then honestly, Cardinals was because I watched
and then
that.
I liked the Broncos because Peyton Manning and they were in the Super Bowl. And then I like the Buccaneers because Tom Brady.
No, it wasn't that.
You bandwagon.
Bobby, I'm just admit you used to be a heavy bandwagon fan back in the day. Just admit it. You know it's true. Don't lie. Don't lie.
But I
Don't lie
liked
to
the
our people.
Bills back when Ty got them. They weren't even good.
You just liked playing Madden with him because he would roll out and run the ball.
Ty God was amazing, man. I still like Ty God.
Okay, just acknowledge that you were a Panthers fan in 2015 because you were. And
I
then in
had
2016,
Cam Newton on my fantasy team.
No,
right?
I'm not. Okay, whatever, fine. Yep, Bills fan all the time. Bills Mafia all the time.
For me, it's been the Ravens since 2010 because I really like Ray Lewis and Ed Reed.
Ray Lewis is a murderer.
I know.
You
Well, the good thing is, so
I know.
I didn't like rooting for the Bears, so like I didn't want any Bears jerseys. So I think
one of them.
I think in like 2012, 2013, I wanted a Ravens jersey, and I was between getting a Joe Flacco jersey and a Ray Rice jersey. And I was so glad I didn't get a Ray Rice
Because
jersey.
he beat the shit out of his.
So I have a Joe Flacco jersey, and I've been a Ray. Like that's my like. I'm not gonna say I'm a Ravens.
You have a
fan.
Joe Flacco jersey, dude.
Yeah.
That's a jersey you need to wear.
Does it fit you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, when we do the thing,
It was 2010, so I mean that's a long time ago.
That is.
That wasn't like a size.
Well, no,
thing,
see,
height
like,
thing.
2010, I got it, and I think I got a large.
Okay, so you
So like I fit now. It fits me well.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you got that back in 2010,
I'm 3
like,
inches
we're going
taller,
back.
and I'm 80 pounds.
We're going back 12 years ago.
We really
Like, you
are.
got it to fit you then. I don't think it's fitting you now.
Yeah, I want to say it was my sophomore year of high school. It's really like when I was like, yeah, I'm a Ravens fan outside of Chicago. Like I'm always gonna root for the Bears over.
I know a
Ravens.
few Ravens fans actually. I think they're just people. I think it's the purple, man.
Yeah, it is.
People
I do like the.
People like the jerseys and the logo. I think they have a cool logo.
You know, people just like Edgar Allan Poe, dude.
No, shut up. Whatever, man. No, for me it's the Chargers for sure. Falcons are close second. Dude. That's because when we played on the House of Falcons,
Yeah,
so I
that's
just
true.
always liked the Falcons.
He did.
Made me a huge Michael Vick fan. Then he beat dogs to death and did dog fighting. So I was like, I hate Michael Vick, but he's paid his dues and he's since changed.
Yeah, he's made up for it.
He's made up for it.
watch
One of who
it.
hasn't made up for murdering someone? Ray Lewis.
Allegedly. Right?
Well,
It's
okay,
like,
but
it's like O.J. Simpson. He's
Before
not, you know.
before we end the show though, did you hear Ray? This was when he was like a pregame guy for like Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football, one of the two. And he on air, like to the national audience, he goes, "In America, you can get away with murder and still find your way. Like you can murder someone and find your way around the laws. There's always a way." And everyone's like, Ray Lewis, you yourself did not just say that openly after you skirted your way around murder charges. Like, he said, he's like, you can get away with crime in this country.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop, Ray, stop. Someone tell him to stop.
Yeah,
You can't be
PR.
honest.
No.
It's like, cut his mic, tackle him, someone take him off the stage. It was like, I just remember hearing, like, I did a double take. I was like, this man really said that. Of all people, who's going to make that statement? The man who's been having this murder charge floating around his name forever. Too funny.
That is too funny.
Too funny. But, yeah, so like we said, guys, Nick's Picks is going to be a separate segment. We'll be getting that uploaded separately. But as always, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you listening to us. If you like what you heard, please give us a follow on all of our social medias. All of it's linked in our website, Garage Talk Sports. Pretty easy to find on social media as well. Stay tuned for our Nick's Picks segments coming up, guys. But as always, thank you for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Yeah.
See ya.
We still talk fucking forever.
The Bears, man. Look at you.
We talked for a long